What's up, everybody? This is STORYHIVE on location in Nanaimo with Beats, Eats, and MOARRR. We're broadcasting live from the unceded ancestral lands of the Nanaimo First Nations. Utmost love, respects to the original stewards and protectors of these lands and these waters. I'm the host of this show. My name is Kazi, and today my special guest, y'all, it smells good up in here with that pizza. I have the one and only Raymond Knight, who is a filmmaker, director, cinematographer, painter, and musician, driven by a lifelong passion for storytelling through sound and image. Raised in Powell River, BC, he began as an acrylic and oil painter before diving into music, writing, recording, and performing, eventually blending these talents into filmmaking. With 100+ music videos, short films, a feature, and global adventure shows, his work is dynamic and human. Now based on Vancouver Island, he runs Verra Creative, crafting bold, heartfelt stories across art, music, and film. Y'all give it up. Thank you for coming on this show.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me, and thanks for coming to our beautiful space. And like that ChatGPT bio was pretty good, eh? That was not bad.
And then it just helped condense it a little bit more, which is great. I was like, tighten this up.
Yeah. All right, so we got some pizza here. I made the dough 48 hours ago, homemade mozzarella, homemade sauce from tomatoes from my garden, basil. So why don't you finish this up with some basil and some Parmesan here, and I'll chop it up, just rip it up and put whatever you want on it.
Even with these little tiny, cute little tomatoes, I just pop them in there?
Nah, leave the tomatoes. I was going to do something special with tomatoes, but they're not so special. Yeah, just rip up a bunch of basil there. There you go. And just
when did this
do it
love
loose
for pizza start in your life?
Okay, so I was 10 years old.
1 second, Can you still are we still good on audio levels here?
Yeah.
It's tucked in? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I think it's good.
Just making sure this
double check. But yeah, so when I was like 10 years old, I really fell in love with cooking because my mom was a gardener, and I used to bake focaccia bread all the time and pick stuff from the garden, and she'd come home and there'd be like 10 focaccia loaves, baked, and because I was just trying to get it right. And so, yeah, I've always loved ingredients, fishing, growing food. I think good ingredients are the key to great art. So I think that food really teaches you that on like a super basic level. So
it's the most rewarding art form that I think exists, truthfully.
Yeah.
And it's also low-key, high-key. One of the main reasons why the show is Beats, Eats, and more is because I literally want an excuse to eat on the show.
Perfect. Well, we don't need any excuses to eat, so.
OMG.
Yeah.
So wait, is this prosciutto?
So it's like a prosciutto. It's from a local farm. So anything that I didn't make here is actually local. So I think source it. We go to the farmer's market, source out as many amazing ingredients as we can. I'm gonna take this big juicy piece right there.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going for 2 right off the hop,
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Snap. You missed out, brother. I'm grabbing that.
Yeah.
That's actually one of my favorite parts, when the pizza's in the pizza box and you're grabbing the ingredients.
I know.
All the extra bits.
You get somebody else's extra little pieces. So
thank you so much for making pizza for us.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, of course.
Let's take our first bite.
Oh yeah, that's good.
First bite.
Oh yeah. Just gets better.
Perfectly cooked dough. It's soft with a bit of that crisp and that crunch. Mm-hmm. The sauce, it's saucing. How did you make the sauce?
It's just it's really basic. It's just like fire roasted tomatoes and then a little bit of salt and pepper and some basil, and yeah. The cheese is the funnest part, actually. You have to find the right milk. Like, you have to actually go source the right kind of milk to make it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just, it's like a hobby for me, and spend so much time on the computer doing digital stuff, and I prefer to be out in the field, but like when you're doing video production, you're essentially doing tech stuff, all day long. So I need to get out and go fish, catch a fish, cook it, on the riverside, or do something to get me out,
How long does it take you to make cheese?
It's not that long, actually. No, it's like, it maybe takes like 30 minutes to an hour. Yeah, so you just have to like get everything to the right temperature and then make the curds and then reheat it and stretch it into mozzarella. So
actually though, I need to find I mean, that would have been a cool thing to do on the show.
Yeah.
Because I thought it like ferments or takes time.
Well, if aged cheese does, but with fresh mozzarella, like they usually use, you know, on Italian-style pizza. Yeah, it's pretty quick. Like I said, it took me weeks to find the right milk, and 30 minutes to make the cheese. So.
And the kind of milk you used was?
It's like non-homogenized, like low pasteurization level. It's like if it's too high of a temperature of pasteurization, it destroys all the proteins and stuff. So yeah, it's really it's everything's like a little bit of a science, right? Including the dough, right? So. But that's like the best part, is just kind of like tinkering. And I think I'm a master of imitation. So when I see something I really like and I'm like, I don't know, how did they get it soft and crispy and all these like little things, you know, that you want. And I was just doing pan pizza for a long time. And then I was like, okay, like I got to figure this out. Bought a pizza stone. I was like, okay, my oven doesn't go hot enough. Okay, bought a pizza oven. Okay, now I can, you know, getting closer and closer to that.
Making your own pizza shop, essentially.
Yeah.
Slanging
For my
pizzas
friends.
Out of here.
Yeah. Become friends with us, and you'll get pizza all the time. I promise.
Well, first off, I want to give a big shout out to Ashley of Guava, because, which is a cute, sweet little boutique that is just down over yonder, right here. What road are we on again?
This is Nickel Street. Yeah.
Nickel Street, which is right in the downtown of Nanaimo. A couple weeks ago, I walked into the shop. You know, I was doing a scouting trip. I'm like, I need to find people to interview out here in Nanaimo. And she had such a cute store, a lot of great things. We had a chat, and she was like, you need to go see Ray. They have such a cute space. She opened up her phone, Instagram, showed me this studio. So she's like, it just opened up this year. You know, he's a really talented cinematographer, director, et cetera, et cetera. And then she called you up, was like, hey, there's a lady here. I'm going to send her over. It's like, just 5-minute walk. Go up the hill.
Oh, yeah. Well, anytime Ashley recommends somebody, I mean, you got to meet this person. I'm like, yes, ma'am, anytime. So.
I loved it. And then 5 minutes later, I showed up on your door, and you gave me this tour. We sat down. We had a chat, which I was like, this basically could have been the live stream, brother.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Let's do it. And then planned a couple of weeks later, and here we are sitting down.
No, I mean, it's awesome to connect with art and people who, you know, like you, that want to publicize it and help people get out there. Like, you know, we have this amazing space, but, you know, we're so busy doing stuff all the time that it's hard to think about trying to tell people what we're doing. And so, yeah, the door goes both ways. So. Yeah.
Well, and this platform also has just been an amazing archive of creative stories and journeys of different musicians, artists, dancers, chefs, filmmakers, et cetera, et cetera. And I think what has been so cool is really hearing more in depth, like early beginnings and the influences and inspirations that have led each creative and artist to where they are now.
Yeah, which is why we're eating pizza.
Exactly.
Early inspirations, yeah.
I'd love to start with asking you, you know, like for us to understand the creative who sits in front of us right now, what do we need to know about who you were as a youth, as a young person? Like, how did creativity really become part of your upbringing and your life?
Well, it's like, you know, I got to thank my parents and my mother, right? Like, she was instrumental into giving me the tools I needed to be creative. She saw that I just wanted to draw all the time. Like, from the time, I think I have drawings from when I was like 2, right? So like, and 1 even. So it's just like, she would just throw a pad of paper in front of me with everything I wanted, and she said, and that whole thing would be filled, you know, like by the end of the day sometimes, and it would just keep going. And so she got me into painting, or I was really interested and started painting, and then she's like, okay, well, every time that I had a new thing I wanted to learn, you know, as an artist, like, oh, I want to do that, oh, I want to do that, I want to do that. She's like, okay, do it for a while, show me you're dedicated, then I'll hook you up with somebody who can teach you how to do that, and then I'll buy you the supplies, right? Yeah. So that went on when I wanted, I'd been a painter my whole life. I was doing commissions and portraits like in high school. Like I basically had like a side job doing that, and got really heavy into music and just loved the, I like the social aspect of music more than art, you know? It's just, I think even when you're young, you kind of feel the weight of like depression and being like, oh, okay, like if I sit alone in a dark room with myself for too long, you know, like it's not the best thing to do for a hobby and a living and all
Yeah.
that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I just had so much fun playing music with people. I was like, wow, this is an amazing experience. This is what I want. This is my experience I want with life, right?
What were you playing and instruments-wise?
I started off on piano because I really wanted to like understand music, and then I was
that is the base.
yeah, you got everything's laid out, you know, and then I got into guitar and saxophone and singing, and then eventually took the jazz music program here, to everybody's surprise, because they were like, well, aren't you going to go to art school? Like, you know, you're this award-winning already, you know, artist coming out of high school. And I was like, no, like I want to learn music. Like I just was so passionate about that, right? So met a lot of great musicians there, and took digital media programs, started doing a bunch of music videos, and then I pretty much had like 3 teachers come to me and being like, you should just quit, because like you're an artist, right? Like all the people here are going to become teachers, right? And they're like, if you want to become a teacher later on in life, it's like you can do that. Like it's not that hard to come, you know, get the qualifications you need to do, like especially if you have like the career behind you. So go paint, go make films, you know. And I did this horror short film, and I made a bunch of the kids in our class have nightmares like afterwards, and they were all messaging me afterwards, like, why did you do that or whatever. The teacher's like, you have to go do this for a living. Like the kids are quivering in their seats, right?
That's so funny. So this was in music school when you
Yeah.
were making these music videos?
Yeah, because I took, you know, obviously as electives, I was like, well, I'm going to take art, you know, visual arts, because obviously I'm just going to kill that, and then and then I ended up kind of in split programs, right? And then digital media was like, you know, another elective, and so it all kind of came together. And I was recording albums and doing lots of music writing at that time, so my digital technical like editing skills were getting good, and I was like, oh, video's pretty similar. And you know, DSLR cameras came out where you know you could get like a Canon 5D, and they were using these in feature films at that time. Like I remember Black Swan came out, and they used that and shot on the New York subway in public, right?
Yeah.
So that was like, hey, well, like I'm buying that camera and I'm gonna go make films. And I was like, hey, bye, you know, quit school, moved. With a bunch of artists, you know, where we had crazy parties in the basement with bands like all night long, you know, like, and the whole house is shaking, and
This is here.
Yeah, this is actually just right over on the other road there. So huge, yeah, really amazing arts and music scene here. Played a lot of shows and just did video production like as much as I could for, you know, I guess probably 6 or 7 years, and then got like really serious, you know, in my early 30s, and then about a year ago I merged, started a new company with my business partner Sean, who's also like my creative partner, and he's like super talented, and we were like, okay, like we want to do productions, we want to produce our own shows, like we're ready to take that step out of just being a couple of guys with a camera, right? And so built the studio, hired some editors, just been full on. Yeah, just going for it. The last couple of years have been a bit crazy, but yeah, it's so worth it. And we have people like Ashley is actually the building owner. So she's, they helped us. They allowed us to be here for a long time before, you know, we could afford it. And it's just a big community, right? So, yeah.
That's amazing. And then also a really interesting trajectory that like, I love that your teachers could see. It's so rare that like teachers could really see something and then just call it out and be like, dude, here's this path. Like it's so obvious, you know. You have a knack and a skill and a tenacity for this, and that it's led you here. Like, did that feel like a natural progression, or was there maybe an inciting moment or incident for you where you're like, actually, I really want to go like full tilt into this visual storytelling?
Yeah. So. I mean, we all have dreams of like making great pieces of art, right? Like, I just want to do this thing that's gonna, you know, change people's lives, right? That's just like the ultimate.
What do they call that?
Goal.
There's a term for that when it's your life's masterpiece.
Yeah.
What do they call that? Yeah, your
Right,
magnus
yeah,
opus or
yeah.
something.
I hope that never comes, because that means that's the end, but like, that's like, but at the same time, yeah, I just thought that, like, I made a feature film, I was doing lots of short films, and like, I love sci-fi. I've always like loved how that genre can push people to think differently. It's not just like aliens and monsters. It's like the future presents a lot of like moral questions, and things that like we should be thinking about, right? And now, we're at that point in technology where we do have to be asking those questions. It's not just sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
So
so crazy every time I think about that.
Yeah,
dude.
exactly. And I learned a lot from those sci-fis and been like, well, we might have to be careful a little bit, or maybe, if we're gonna think forward, I think art is a great way to, I guess it's like modern philosophy, right? Philosophers would think to the future and how things are going to be, or if if we change society in certain ways, and like how we could evolve, right? And
what are our ethics around that, et cetera, et cetera.
And there's so many people like holding on so hard to the past right now that it's like the growth, and then the growth is happening so quick that it's just shooting past everyone, right? So. Anyways, so my point is that like I had this like really, something to say, right? Like all the time. And I think at a certain point it gets really exhausting. And as an artist, it's like, do I just need a therapist? So like,
yes, the answer is yes,
exactly.
We all do. So
I did, right? And so I got a therapist, talked to counselors, and really kind of narrowed down like what I was feeling. And, maybe I really liked art because I felt like I wanted more connection when I was a kid, and that was a way for me to escape. And so like that was something I had to deal with, right? Like, so all this like trying to prove myself, essentially, like, mom put my picture on the fridge, kind of mentality, which was driving me, was just like, it wasn't helping me get anywhere. And so like I really switched, and I said, well, I want to be a service provider. I don't want to be an artist. I want to help people tell their stories, because I have a skill. I can see people. I see their story in a way that they don't, right? So now I just thought, like, this is like my life's purpose, is to actually help people have and find their voice. And it's not my voice, right? Yeah. So I think that when I started doing documentary work and really just being around people and just absorbing other people's lives and showing it back to them, or showing other people, and just seeing like, oh my God, like we needed that, or like nobody, like it's just that intimate perspective, that you only get from just hanging out with somebody. And if you can capture that and really show people, it's super powerful. So I just kind of like changed. I was like, no, like my purpose is to be in service to people and their stories. And that one idea shifted how, it got me out of depression, because I was like, well, I don't want to have something to say, or like, sure, like if you want to listen, great, but that's not my purpose, right? That's purpose is community and people, and bringing people together, and not being this solo artist just painting, in a dark corner, right?
Yeah.
And
feeling all your feelings.
Yeah, which is important, right? But I've felt a lot of feelings, and I'm ready to feel different feelings, right? So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo, man, you got me emotional off the bat.
Another piece of pizza.
Yeah, I really relate to that, and I want to guess we're around the same age. Like, I'm 37 now.
Yeah, 38, just turned 38, so yeah.
So we literally are the same generation, because when you were referencing the switch over to DSLR, I was like, that was me in university as well.
Yeah.
Like, when DSLRs came and prosumer cameras came. I digress. But like, also being in this generation that I call like the auntie uncle generation.
Right.
You get to a point where you're like the 20s is so much about self-discovery, living for yourself, blah, blah, blah. But also it's like a lot of just flopping around because you're trying to figure things out. And then at a certain point, it's like really getting to a space with yourself of like, what am I really here to do? How do I make the most of this like meat suit, the soul in this meat suit, and this life I've been given? Yeah. And it's just so much more fulfilling and a fun time when you're doing things with community, for community. And
it's a true purpose.
It's a true purpose, a purpose that's bigger than ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I love that you were able to take something that you've built skills with over time to then apply it directly into like creating this platform to share other people's stories so that they feel seen and that they can also see themselves in a way that they could not.
No, and they can't. Nobody has that ability, and it's such a weird thing to turn it on somebody and just how nobody thinks that their story's worth telling. Nobody, oh, you don't want to film this. Oh, you don't want to do that. And it's like, I don't care. I just want to film my experience, because the conversations I have and the people I meet are important, just like you said, when we met for the first time, right? So it's like, that's me as a documentarian, is just being in scenarios of things that I want to learn about, rolling the camera and learning. Because if I'm learning, then I'm capturing those learning moments, right? And so it's like, it's easier and it's harder than narrative work, because narrative work, you have to plan all that, to have those moments. And yeah, they just happen when you're documenting something, but you have to be there in the most intimate moments with people, and they have to be okay with you. They have to like you enough to want you to be around. It's like, oh, okay, well, can we have this emotional interview now? Or that life-changing event, can we make that happen, quick? And you just have to be okay with just, living, I think, or just being there. And that's when the best stuff happens. And it feels like nothing's happening. And then you put it together and you're like, that was amazing. And so yeah, you just trust the process and learn to convince people to trust you too.
So is that the main direction now with Verra Creative? Because when I was looking at what you guys have done, you've been also helping a lot of local businesses and their branding and storytelling.
Yeah, well, it's just, I think that Verra Creative is, we want to focus on truthful storytelling no matter what, if that's a local business or a nonprofit or, hospital foundations we work with, or working on, a television show that's, we've been lucky enough to have the opportunity to do over the last 3 years, right? Yeah. So I think as a business, we want to help anybody, right? That's why we built this, is just come in, use our space, use our talent or gear, and we've got people that can help you if you need it. But I'm trying to split the two and saying, but me as Raymond, I want to do this, right? And they have to be split in some way or another. You work on the business, you make it work for people, you be in service to people, and then I use my own personal journey, you're selling your life to people in a lot of ways, right? Yeah. Especially when you're going away for months at a time to film something, and you're away from your family and your friends. And as a business, I want it to be easy. I want people to be able to come here. I want us to be able to have a place to come. And it's tiring flying around everywhere and trying to keep up with shoots and people all the time, right? Oh, yeah. So creating the space was about creating consistency and a better life, I think. And
a stable foundation of
yeah, and then I could still go be crazy, right? But it's just that's not going to be my life all the time, and I'm okay with that,
That's great. Yeah. And the diversity is also wonderful, because then the opposite of that is the mundanity of the same thing over and over and over again, right?
No, which is a nightmare. Yeah. And I'm a knight, I'm Raymond Knight. I want to slay dragons. I want to go find new territory, party with the locals. So everyone kind of makes fun of me all the time. So everyone's like, oh, everything's pretty good. And I'm like, no, we're changing everything, but that's just I don't want to stay still, unless I'm on a river, then I'll stay still all day fishing.
Out of everything that you've worked on, what would you say were major milestone moments or projects that you feel really drove you in a bigger trajectory?
Well, definitely a feature film that I did, pretty much right out of college.
Oh, okay. Armando, everybody, our tech operator.
He should also take a piece of pizza. Pizza.
While you're
take pizza. Oh no, much apart. Yeah. Technical. He's a rapper too, by the way, if anyone didn't know. Okay, so inciting into Incident, is that what you said?
I said milestone.
Milestone
So, you know,
moment,
kind of
yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah, so feature film. Just don't recommend it to anybody. I did.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing this indie feature. And I'm like, see, because like it's really tough. Like doing a feature. Everyone just thinks, oh, they're gonna happen. They're gonna get into TIFF or something, you know, and it does happen, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is, as you know, first-time director, you're like you need a better platform than. It takes up a lot of programming time in these festivals, and time for the people.
Big.
Yeah, already had those steps to get there, right? You know, I think that in this day and age, vertical series online, we can show our storytelling skills in so many different ways. Like, and most of these people, I would say, are like our age, and so they grew up in this time of film festivals, and or it's the same musicians, right? It's just like, yeah, you gotta grind and, you know, do the gigs, and someone's gonna pick you up, and it's just a totally different game nowadays. So I'm trying to focus more on doing things that are gonna be easily distributed, because that's gonna be the best way to market and get out there. Do I want to do a feature film again? Yes. Do I think it's probably still gonna be a nightmare? Yes. But like, when it's just you and your friends, and you know, spending 2 years trying to get something done, by the end of it, you don't even have the energy to do anything with it. Or that's how I felt, you know. So I think that's always been the hardest part, is distribution. Is just being like, okay, well, like you got it, now what are you going to do with it, right? And with work, it's easy, because it's like, oh, here's a video for you, go distribute it. Like, I'm not going to do it, right?
You did your part.
Yeah, hands are clean, I can move on to keep on creating, right? ADD mode, so it's like, but yeah, I think that taught me a lot of lessons on how to work with actors. We had a lot of non-actors, and just training, like how to create training myself to create an environment that people feel comfortable in. And then that, you know, if you can do that with scripted lines, and you can for sure do that with somebody who's genuine, right? So I think that taught me a lot, and it was really hard. And
you finished it.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. We showed it to 600 people, and we rented the theater here, had 2 showings.
The Port? Or
no,
which
it was just like the Avalon Theater, like the
Okay.
actual, at the, you know, popcorn and everything, and it was, and just to hear people gasp and laugh and cry, and to see people who I've never seen get emotional in my life, like be sobbing at the end of it. Like, and I was like,
called, and what was it about?
It's called Beyond Control, and it was a like coming of age story of like a girl in her early 20s, and it's like a psychological drama, I guess I would call it. So a little bit like Black Swan, where, you know, you got this person who's dealing with real life things, but they're manifesting themselves in different nightmares and things that are physically manifesting. And so and that's why I worked with Brooklyn, right? And she was like the younger version of the main actress, and so she was in all the flashbacks, and they eventually at the end like meet each other, and kind of it's all about like healing trauma and stuff like that. And we built like a giant monster for it, you know, for the climax. So it ends like a horror film, and kind of like, you know, has this ending that you kind of puts all the pieces together. So. Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, so much fun.
And so much learning.
Yeah.
Quick sidebar, Brooklyn is the granddaughter of Longevity John, who was on the show yesterday, which is amazing.
So many connections.
And it's the island vibe, you know? People know each other around here.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really cool.
It is. I mean, it is like the Hawaii of Canada. You know, everyone's really chill here. They call it island time for a reason. Yeah. Which can be a little bit daunting to get around, because everybody's kind of got that attitude, right?
Oh,
It's which is great. Like, everyone enjoys their life here, but you know, like we were just in New York last week filming a summit and working with this, you know, great company, meeting like CEOs of some like really amazing companies where you're just getting this great advice just over a cocktail, you know, with people. And I was like I need more of this, you know. I need this when I'm, you know, ready to, like, who wants to ditch work and go fishing, right? Like, that's you know, I need this for that. But at the same time, I think we need to build a bit of a professional creative community here that people can lean on and really figure out how to work on themselves, or decide just to be an artist. That's why I think most people, I'm like, stop trying to make it a business, just be an artist, right? Like because it's such a transition. I think that being an artist, like, I tried so hard to stop being an artist for a long time because I just thought it was really a negative mindset, you know, to always have something to prove, have something to say, have your whole life based off of like a skill set that you have, right? And I just couldn't help but see. And then when I started getting into business and getting better at business, I was like, wow, like, business people are creative, but they're like really logical and they
strategic.
Yeah, and they're not emotional, but if it doesn't work, they change what they're doing, right? And it just made me really realize how attached I was to so many things, and I want to be there with artists, and I want to produce art. But yeah, I don't know, doing music videos is tough. You know, you're always working with artists or trying to be a part of the arts community. Like, I think that has to be something that I'm passionate about and that I do because I want to, and not, you're not trying to build a business off of the backs of artists, right? It's like, okay, go find the business, go work, and then build a space and build resources so that I can still be a part of the arts community, and we still sponsor the Port Discovery Series and do as much as we can to help, you know, local artists and musicians. But it's like a passion, right? And
it's interesting that you said that about like what you learn from being around business people, because it's true, when the art is so personal, it's hard to not take things personally and have this like attachment to the art. This is also why I'm in design. Like, as an experienced designer, what I love is that, like, I come from the approach of like, here's one iteration, and then how do we reiterate? Like, that's one prototype, and you can always reiterate. And there's like less of an attachment to each iteration because you already know things can be designed better. Like, that is the mentality of a designer. And it's been hard in past times with when I've curated and designed events where I'm the guy who's like, can we do a feedback session? And people are like, oh, we're just over this, we're done, we're tired, like, we want to move on, right? And I'm the guy who's just like prodding and poking and asking all the questions, because as a designer, I just like want to iterate the process and make it better.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's like, and then when you go, you know, finally create the product or whatever you're designing, you want to be sure of what you're doing. And so a lot of the times with video production, especially, you know, when it's like really hard to convince people to spend a lot of time on the front end. You know, there's, well, like, I want to do this. I want to do this shoot. This is what I want to do. Like, when are you available? And you're like, just hold on. Like, why? Why are we doing this? Like, what are we doing? Like, how much money is this going to cost? Like, what are you going to, how is this going to help, you know, communicate what you're doing? Like, maybe we should do this. This would be, maybe it's a better spend of your money to do something else. And I think that just stepping back and having a process is really important. But that's great. People come and they're so excited. They're just like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I'm ready to go. Like I got this idea, and like, we've got one client, and we've done, you know, we did all their branding and brand video and all their client testimonials and to build their website. And so then that's all done. And then, you know, he just like, he loves it so much. And he's like, oh, I just like, let's do the next thing. And we're like, okay, just slow down. Like, we need some time to let the content work and put it out there. And so we come up with a plan to try to help solidify that. And like, yes, do I want to do this really fun commercial idea that you're gung-ho to do? Of course, right? But do I want it to work for you? Yeah. So I think that it's just all about, just not,
Also,
everything's going to take time, right? So.
taking time, and again, like having a North Star, like a goal, and things to just like keep within that goal, because like you said, we get caught up in like, oh, I want to do the next thing, or this is exciting, but it's like, okay, but what do you want it to do for you? Because then you end up going through all this work and effort, and then you reach that point, and then it's like, we achieve the goal? Like, do we feel the way that we hoped we would feel at the end of this?
Yeah, well, that's a huge thing, right? Is your outcome to feel something specific or to produce something specific, right? Like, because I think that's a lot too, is it's like we do a lot to feed our lifestyle and to make us feel a certain way, right? And so it's easier to manage expectations and feelings, right? So I think that sometimes that's really important too. It's like, how do you expect to feel after this, right?
Yeah.
Like, the video is going to be the same either way, in my opinion. Like, do you want to feel good after it was done? Do you want to feel like you were heard after it was done, and that the process like made you feel comfortable, or do we, like, let's just get it done, right? It's like, because the end product might be exactly the same, but I think a lot of people, it is about listening. It is about being there for that person's vision and putting your own thing aside. And so it's I'm just like, I'm always trying to drag the process out. I'm just like, well, how about we storyboard everything 5 times, and here's a bunch of references, like, let's, like, I want to spend so much time doing research. And
I love the process part. That, like, when you were asking that question, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, that's the part that means the most to me. Like, even with the end product, I'm like, it's like the process has to be fun and enjoyable, and you love what you're doing and who you're doing it with, because then the product will be the product, and arguably better because the process,
of course,
no,
the product is a byproduct of the process. Like, the final piece of art has like never been the thing that is, for me, it's like, we just went and did up to Nootka Wilderness Lodge when we did a whole, like, they had us there for 5 days, and we're just catching fish and doing content the whole time and telling their story as a lodge. And it wasn't, the video is only a capturing of the process, right? And so the final product is, again, it's just a byproduct of the experience that we had. So the experience has to be like number one, and what's happening in front of the camera. And then, and then you're just trying to put that out there in as simple of a way as possible, just like the pizza, right? I just think simple ingredients done really well, and highlight those ingredients versus trying to cover them up. If you're trying to cover it up, then it's just, you might as well just start over again. And that's why I like documentaries, because I'm just like, these are these simple ingredients. It's not like, all these crazy effects, and it's just simple. Tasteful.
Of all the stories that you've been able to capture, what's one that you feel deeply moved or impacted by?
So I mean, I guess there's two. I would say the first thing that I actually got me into documentary filmmaking was I was taking all these like film qualification courses, right? They were offering at North Island College here, and it was subsidized, so it was awesome. It was like a 6-week full intensive program for like $200. And then a friend of mine from Vancouver, who's a really great cinematographer, Leo, he was over here filming the final video that we're all collaborating to make, and like, I didn't know he was doing that, and so we just kicked it at a brewery afterwards and having a beer, and I was actually applying for STORYHIVE, and I was like, okay, like, I've got all these ideas, like, I don't know what to do, right? I really want to push myself forward. And he's like, man, you got lots of really good stories and ideas, and he's like, great scripts, but he's like, do a documentary. If you do a documentary, he's like, I guarantee you it'll be easier for you to get the funding, and it's going to push you forward more. So I did that, and at the time my dad had just been diagnosed with stomach cancer, and I obviously was just on this journey of, as a family, of learning what that meant and all this, and then connecting with a lot of other people and realizing like a lot of people are living, or families are living with cancer in their family. And so I wanted to do this whole series about just regular people and how they deal with it, right? And so I ended up focusing on this one family that I know locally, and their son was born with this rare form of cancer, the tumor. He had a tumor, like they saw it in the ultrasound, right? And so, but now he's like this healthy, 10-year-old boy who's like playing sports and all this stuff, and just kind of the whole family's perspective and how they were feeling about it, but then also his perspective and how he grew up and with his like positivity, and so that was like really powerful story that I wanted to tell, and I was like, hey, this is like what I'm kind of meant to do after I did that. And then now recently I just directed like 2 or 3 episodes of this show Yukon Harvest that's gonna be on the APTN starting in September, and
it looks great, like seeing the trailers and things like that.
Yeah, it'll be good, and like the episodes that I was lucky enough to do were really emotional, and moments where you really had to sit there with people, going through tough situations, and I'm super proud or lucky, I think, just to be there, that people trust me to be in those situations, in the middle of nowhere, in remote communities with people who are just like not in the best situations, right? A friend of mine, he is now my friend, and he's the same age as us, and he just discovered he was from, he was Indigenous and adopted and from this remote community out in Winnipeg, right, like on the outskirts of Winnipeg, and so the whole show, or the episodes that we were working on, was focused on him finding his Indigenous heritage, right, by going and visiting where he would have grown up. Right,
wow.
And his father had just passed away, his true father, so he never got to meet him, and just like being in these places where he's like, it's just such a weird, hard juxtaposition, being like, okay, well, like I feel like I was taken from my family, my true family, who I'm now trying to connect with, but also given this amazing opportunity, to live in a place that's not, like he's like, I for sure would have been not in a good position in life, especially kind of knowing him as a person. Like he's like, I'm lucky, but I'm also like, feel like so disconnected, right? And so,
wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, and then how that relates to his family now too, right? Because they all have to go through that with him, right? As soon as he takes that on, it's like everybody has to, and so.
For those who don't know, do you want to just briefly explain a little bit about Yukon Harvest?
So Yukon Harvest is a show on the APTN, and it's about Indigenous hunting and mostly harvesting, like we call it hunting, but we're harvesting for communities a lot of times, and taking people, on their first hunts, or like we were out in Williams Lake, and we're just like out in the middle of nowhere and trying to get 8 moose for the elders in the community. So we're literally out there for 4 or 5 days, just being like, okay, well, once we have 8 moose, we're going back. And so some of the days were like 23 hours long, by the time you get back and you're done processing the meat and all this stuff. And but it's just so cool, the people you meet, and and so, but now it's kind of going all over BC and Alberta, and so it's not just the Yukon, and then and obviously the story of Brett, who's a friend of mine, and he's just discovering his heritage through hunting and through exploring that, and then hunting with his kids for the first time, and having them have that experience of taking a life and having that emotional connection, but then eating it, and it's just like seeing all that knowledge getting passed on, and it's a really powerful experience for myself, and I'm proud to be a part of it. So
what do you think makes the soul of a very powerful film or documentary?
Everyone wants to say like, a climax or something big has to happen, but I think the total opposite. Like the way I like to end stuff, like I like things just to be like that's life, and I think that's the best stories, where you feel like they're relatable, right?
And you can see yourself reflected
back at
you.
Yeah, and just see, okay, well, like this person's having the same moments that I do, or or you see them grow, and so you can believe in yourself that you can grow. And I think that those moments are more powerful than anything, because like nothing ends in life. Well, I mean, it does, right? But even, you know, my life ends, and that's the middle or beginning to somebody else's story, right? So it's we're just living in this constant evolution, and like, yeah, stories are there for you to find. Like, you can't make it happen, right? Like I was just here, you just walked in, right? So it's like you just have to walk into somebody's house and be humble and enough to like sit there and be a part of it without and allow yourself to change, right? Because if, like I said, if I changed while filming, or I learned something, then I can be sure that the person's going to learn it, because I was capturing my process, and one person said something, I'm like, well, I didn't know that, you know, and then you're filming another piece, and because you're learning it now, and oh, well, now that person kind of filled in that other piece of the puzzle. Oh, okay, well, maybe I need to ask this person, because, you know, everyone keeps talking about them, but I, you know, like, what do they have to do with it? And so you're just like, as you learn, you're building this, all these pieces. You're being curious, and curiosity, I think, is like the number one
curiosity, presence, openness, and the openness to recognize what's in front.
Yeah, and to just shut up. Right? But like, it's so important to sometimes it's just like,
I know, the human tendency to just keep inserting ourselves versus just like, let's just take a moment and deeply listen.
Oh, that reminds me. No, just shut up. No, just be quiet. Like, you know, and as my dad's getting pretty old, and me, like, when, you know, he's in his 40s, and so he's like 80 now, right? And he's just, I'm always like, why are you so quiet? Like, my mom just like, right? Talk. And I'm like, Mom, just be quiet for 2 seconds. Well, he's got nothing to say, right? And then I'll just like be quiet for like 2 minutes, and then he'll be like, well, what I think is, you know, and like, but he's doing it. Like, he wants to see, like, are you going to listen, you know? Like, and if you're not going to, then, and especially when you're doing a lot of like work with First Nations and whatnot, and, you know, a lot of like elders and people, like they don't have time for you and your BS, you know what I mean? And like, if you're not going to listen, they're not going to talk, and that's just, and they shouldn't, you know what I mean? And that's like
you know, an attitude and just like, that's like lived wisdom there of just like, I'm not gonna rush this, you go on, And then for me, I've learned over time, like, I'm always curious about the most quiet people in the room, because I'm like, you're being quiet for a reason, maybe even if you are shy, but I feel like there's something there. There's like a story there. There's like a depth there, you know? I'm more curious about those who like are the most quiet in the space.
Oh, yeah. I know. Well, it's just whenever, I'm not very good in public forums, you know? Like, people are like, oh, Ray, what do you have to say? I'm like, I can't even begin with, you know, everybody's opinions. Just, you know, there's so much to be sorted out, I feel like, in groups, that it's like it's hard to even like focus. So one-on-one is definitely my, like, this is more my vibe for sure.
Well, I do want to talk a little bit about this space.
Yeah, how much time we got left?
We've got maybe about 10 minutes, and
10 to 15.
Yeah, which I think is a good segue into talking about this space and then going and seeing a little bit more of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, going through the Instagram of Verra Creative and seeing the before and the after.
Oh,
like, first of all, big ups, bravo to you, your partner, and all the hands that, like, painted things, hammered a thing, drilled a thing, because the space is beautiful, complete transformation.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's, you know, everyone says, oh, it's just like something that'd be in Montreal or somewhere, you know, in a bigger city. We are like right on the main road. Everyone's like, oh, like, what about the street people? What about the traffic? What about, like, do you like being busy? And I'm like, yeah, I like knowing I'm in a city, right? It's bustling here. Like, people see it. They see what we're doing. And we've got a whole community in this building. Like, we share the other side. We've got our editing suites and our offices in the back. And we've got a web company that we partner with, and these guys are product designers, and they design like dive wear and all this stuff. And so it's like this little creative agency hub. Like, we're not, you know, we partner together, but the whole point is, like, we've got this work culture that doesn't really exist anymore. So, It took a long time to get there and to find the right people, and it just took us going into the other side, Ashley giving us the keys, and us plunking down a desk, and me waiting, for Sean to quit his job. So, just being like, hey, we got more work, okay, quit, and then we got to go for it. And it's just like, everything's, it's just been a really amazing journey. And my fiance, she's a singer, dancer, actress, and we've worked together, throughout so many, we worked together for years before we ever got together, and she's helped. We've actually filmed one of her first music videos in here when it was just like a trash, like there was no walls, no nothing in here. And I've got photos of like, oh, should we film against this dingy wall or that dingy wall, right? And so, there's just, it's like we're living our lives here. Sean brings his kids here. They, they play their VR and do drawing and stuff up here. And
what are the things that you host in here, and what would you like to host in this space?
Yeah, so like the front space here is more like photography events, networking. We've got a studio partner, Suzanne Bateman. She's like a branding and headshot photographer, and so she uses the space to do family photos and teaching. And we had an album release party here like a month ago. Somebody's having a birthday party here tonight, I think. So
amazing.
And then the back we've got their infinity wall, right? So it's a 32-foot infinity wall. Last week we hosted some people who were recording interviews for like a snowboard documentary, and we had a women's tattoo collective do like a whole day of workshops. So it was like 8 hours of workshops back there. They had like 90 people with the infinity wall, and then networking up here with the bar in the evening. We've got fully functional service bar in the garage, so they can drag it right in here, and we can have licensed events. So it's kind of just like this flex space that we can just host our clients. If we do a great video project and we just want to be like, hey, well, like, invite all your friends, invite your clients, like, let's show it off, right?
This is so cool. Part of me wishes, I was like, I wish this was in Van City, but now I just got to come to Nanaimo.
No, with the Hello Ferry, it's right there, right? It comes, like I could walk over and pick you up.
Oh,
or whatever.
really?
Or well, you can walk over to me, right? But it's right there. So
amazing. Well, let's do a little walk. Let the people out there see, and especially this back area over here.
Yeah, I think the natural light over here is one of my favorite features, and we are just collecting furniture. I think that's every studio needs a big cigar lounge couch. And
a few of them chairs.
Yeah, I think we saw this on Facebook Marketplace. We're all sitting here, and I was like, oh, it's going to be gone in 5 minutes. We better go get it.
Is this just a change room?
Yeah, we got a change room.
Oh, nice.
This giant monstera that we stole from, well, we didn't steal it. This woman, she was basically crying. She's like, it's my baby. Take care.
Give it a new life.
Yeah, and then this is our big,
cool.
our big production studio, and it's we do green screen work on here, and like I said, it's a great place to do podcasts and to do we do projections on the back wall, and eventually I think we want to do like a big green screen project where we paint the whole thing green and just go nuts with the visual effects. But it's just like technology is getting so crazy, you almost don't even need green screens anymore, like the automatic rotoscoping and everything that they can do. So we're just trying to play with that, doing a little bit of video game development and learning like motion capture. And we went over to EA Sports a couple of months ago, and got a tour of their mocap studio, and was a part of them filming. I can't remember, it was like some FIFA game or something, right? And so they had all the guys in the mocap things just doing. And it was kind of neat, the things that they had to think about, because the guy would go and he'd walk in and he'd be like standing there, then he would sit down, and then
takes was that for you?
Actually,
You would actually appreciate, as I mentioned him before on the show, my friend Valino, director Valino. This, like, it's a dance video series, one
Oh,
take
wow.
shots of movement.
Yeah.
And there's a whole creative process he built around it where he takes a dancer to dance and freestyle through space in one take.
That's
or not,
awesome.
sorry, in one shot, but sometimes it only ends up being one take because we're working with the light.
Right,
Right?
yeah.
And there have been like, it's just like one of those like magic moment things where like an artist, he also musically wise doesn't choose like top 40 or like popular songs. He actually chooses to feature like a lot of local music,
That's
producers.
awesome.
It also helps with the whole creative licensing on YouTube, right?
Oh, yeah.
But what do you call this? And he'll let the artist listen to the whole song. But one time, this artist just listened literally to 30 seconds, was like, that's it, I'll do it. And then freestyled, and this was in Manila. He's done these series in different cities all over the world.
Yeah.
And this artist did it, captured the sunset, had a plane flying over, all in one take. Done. You know, you can't make that up. It's
No.
like, it's a magic moment, it's a magic moment.
But that's why dance is so cool, and like, and camera work and cinematography is like very similar to
Anticipating
dancing.
the action.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a.
Intuition thing.
I love filming dancing. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
This is good to know because there's a vibrant dance community out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially within the like street dance space. And anyway, I feel like I need to connect.
We need
y'all
to do a
because
little dance.
This is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Bro. I've already thought about it. We will talk about
Yeah,
it.
right.
Okay.
First collaboration here.
Favorite local Nanaimo hangout spot for creative inspiration?
I mean, like for restaurants / cafes, like the Vault Cafe is classic.
Yeah,
That's
legendary.
yeah, Amanda, the owner, has created this amazing space that we're like artists and people can just come hang out. One of the best open mics in town. Amazing food, great shows. But really diverse.
Totally.
Yeah, I'd say the Vault for sure.
There was a youth drag night like the other time
Yeah.
that I had been there. I was like, this is awesome.
Oh yeah, they do free jazz, like, you know, just weird movie night, you know, indie movie nights of things you've never heard of. Yeah, it's awesome.
I love that. The gem of the town.
Yeah.
What's one project on your creative bucket list?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, if I could, I would direct an alien film.
Yes.
But I think I want to I'm developing something original. But yeah, sci-fi feature film is like, it's
Bucket
going to happen. Yeah, or just, yeah, we'll start with a few shorts. But yeah, I just want to go explore worlds, you know.
Yeah. World building.
Yeah.
When I hit a creative block, I usually...
Go fishing.
Hey.
That's my answer for everything.
What is the coolest, dopest fish you've ever caught?
Oh my God, I don't know. We're blessed here.
Do you take a picture?
Oh yeah, yeah. I got it. Always. Every time I pop up on my Facebook, it's like 1 year ago you were catching fish. I'm like, yes, I was. Yeah, but I mean, like, we're just so blessed here. Like I said, like, I love, like, we're, you know, do lots of hunting and harvesting shows, and I've always been a fisherman, harvester of mushrooms, grower of food, and I just feel like, yeah, we go fishing and you get to be out in nature. You got to use your logic, you know, because timing is everything, and you have to, you know, you got to check the wind, you got to, you know, check the tides, you got to do all this stuff, and then, and it's just when you hit it and you're like, I think this is the right time, and if I go to this spot, and if I drive 3 hours to this one spot, you know, like, I'll be able to go, like, you know, catch them from shore. And so I think that's so much fun. You go and it's just a blast. Come home with a freezer full of meat, and
And a new gusto for life.
100%.
The artist who influenced me the most growing up is?
Oh, wow. I would have to say this would be not anyone knows, but Ursula Medley was my oil painting teacher in Powell River, and she's a really talented landscape artist, and she just taught me so much. I remember my mom sat in the first time we did a painting lesson together, and I was painting, and she just grabbed a rag and wiped away what I had painted, and she was like, okay, well now look at what you're painting and then paint what you see. And I was like, I remember just being like, you touched my painting. But I was like, oh my God, you're so right. I was just painting what I thought I saw in my head, right? I was just filling in the pieces, and she like taught me to observe and truly observe, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love that. Sounds
Yeah.
like a movie moment. So
Oh,
dramatic.
it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah. I was like, I'm never coming back here. And then, yeah, she's one of my best friends. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
Okay, I have 2 last questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
What does success look like for you beyond awards and recognition?
Being able to sustain yourself and your family and have great friends, and yeah, I mean, just to be able to make a living doing what you love to do and from art, I think is a privilege, and I don't think a lot of people get that opportunity. So every day I wake up, I really think like I feel lucky, you know. I already feel blessed, like got the friends, got the family, got the community, you know, and it's just, yeah, I think that's success. Like, yeah, well, of course we want to be able to not worry, right? I think that's the whole thing. We always want to be, I don't want to worry about money. I don't want to worry about this. I don't want to, but it's like, well, you know, find something. We all need something to worry about. So,
What are you going to choose to worry
yeah,
about?
yeah, 100%. Yeah, because that's going to be motivating, right? And that's like
Turn the worry into motivation.
Heck yeah. I'm worried about being not creative, right? Like I'm like so yeah.
Okay, last one. If you could tell one story for the rest of your life, what would it be about?
Oh God, like a true story or well, I'm pretty sure I do tell the same stories over and over again. So I don't know. I definitely. You know what? This is probably not appropriate for the show.
Question. Here's a more fun one. If you could create a film anywhere in the world with no budget constraints, where would you go and why? Last question.
No budget restraints. I mean, people say
anywhere
like
in the world,
anywhere, like Iceland probably, because I've just heard it's like just amazing. I almost got an opportunity to go and shoot there. And
is it Bjork from there?
I think so. But
right, Armando? Bjork, Iceland?
Yeah.
So we know it's a vibe then.
Yeah. But just the landscape is like insane. Yeah. Like I've just heard it's just absolutely breathtaking. So, but I mean, like the Yukon and BC and where we live is pretty fantastic. Like it's hard to lust, you know, when you have so much amazing stuff at your fingertips.
Love it. Being present with what's here. Man, Raymond, appreciate you.
Yeah.
Appreciate the pizza, your stories, your time. Even the first time that I got to come here and you showing me the space.
Yeah, of course.
I knew this was going to be a good interview. And
thank you, Ashley.
Yes, thank you, Ashley. If y'all are in Nanaimo, you got to check out Guava, which is on the main downtown strip. And you also got to meet our friend Raymond out here at Verra Creative. Where can people find you?
So we got verracreative.com. Our Instagram is verra.creative. You know, I've also got Knight Studios, which is, you know, my previous company, and, you know, we all work together. So follow on any of those pages. And yeah, if you want to come by and just check it out, just drop us a DM and someone's usually here.
That's it. Yeah, well, thank you everyone who's been watching the live stream, everyone watching the replay after. We appreciate you. Once again, my name is Kazi, the host of this show, and you've been watching Beats, Eats, and more.